Welcome back. My name is Christy. I am a fractional director of operations and a business strategist. And I also do productivity coaching. So today I want to talk about procrastination and ways to overcome or work with procrastination. So this is going to come much more from my productivity coaching side, but a quick disclaimer on my productivity coaching. I am not that productivity coach that's going to make you do things all the time because that's not helpful. I'm the type that will require you to rest, that will help you figure out how to rest, and also how to find your own personal productivity flow. So, with that out of the way, um, we've all done it from time to time where we want to start something very much like this channel. If you watched my last video, where we try to start something and we just can't. We just feel frozen. We feel like we can't get started. We want to do everything else except that one thing. And in certain cases, you can kind of avoid it, but in other cases, you simply cannot. So when you're struggling with procrastination, there's a few ways to go about it, but I'm going to talk about each one of them. So first is what most people will tell you to do is to just do it. Just jump in and do it. Now, depending on what it is, it can be very hard. But here's one example. If you are creating a blog post and you're just staring at a blank Google Doc and you're like, I don't even know where to start. I can't even start. Sometimes just typing anything, like free write, literally free write, anything that comes to your mind, even if it has nothing to do with the blog post, because that would at least get your fingers and your brain kind of moving there, and then try to weave in what the blog post is about. If you don't even know what to write about, just start thinking of ideas of what you want to talk about. While you're typing, you can say, hey, today I want to talk about making a garden, and start just typing. If I was going to write a blog post about making a garden, I would blah 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 blah. And if you start going, wait, I don't want to write a blog post about making a garden. This sounds like a horrible blog post. What the heck am I even doing? Two things to do there. One, decide you're not doing the blog post on the garden. Try another topic. Two, especially if it's your own blog post that you get a control of what you're writing about. Two, explore why you don't want to write it. Sometimes procrastination is because you don't know as much as you think you know or want to know about what you're doing. So does that mean you need to go watch some YouTube videos about gardening? You need to read other blog posts about gardening? Do you want to go read a book? Listen to a book? Whatever. Do you need to feel a little bit more empowered in your knowledge of gardening? I don't know why I'm talking about gardening. I personally hate gardening. But just an example. So just start. It's kind of like journaling to get it out, especially when it has to do with a writing project that you need to do. Journal it. Work through it that way. It's very helpful, I promise. And that can actually get you to figure out what you want to do from there. As I mentioned, continue forward or switch. So the next thing is take baby steps. So we can continue on with the blog post analogy for now, but as I mentioned before, sometimes we procrastinate because the task may be too intimidating. We may not feel what we think we know about it. We don't know where to start. Like I mentioned, it's totally fine taking things baby steps one at a time. So how do you baby step a blog post? One, figure out the topic. Then you make the outline. It could simply be topic that you're working on. It doesn't have to be a finished topic. Gardening tips 101, probably the worst topic because everybody has it, but just write that. Topic, gardening tips 101, whatever. Intro. And then you can just put a blurb of what the intro would be. Maybe it's you're tying your life with gardening or whatever. And then 3 to 5 points. Just put point 1, point 2, point 3, point. Don't have to write anything. Just put that line. And then conclusion and CTA, because I would recommend a CTA on a blog post. It doesn't always have to be schedule a call with me, but something. So from there, you already made those baby steps. Now you're not looking at a blank piece of paper. Then you can go back and baby step it some more. Maybe you only want to work on the the main points, like the main points. Like point 1 is this, point 2 is this, but you don't have to go deep into them. Go through them again. Now go back over it and kind of flesh out each point, and then go back over it, work on the intro more, go back over it, work on the conclusion more. Then you go back over it, work on the topic some more, and then you optimize it if you know CEO and whatnot. But if you take it as baby steps, it's a little bit easier. So here's another example. Say you're preparing a marketing launch plan, and for the 5th time this week alone, you have turned to your computer and looked at the blank screen of death, and you said, oh, wait, I have to go wash dishes. You just leave. Or if you just remembered you needed to do some more research before you begin, but you're still not ready, so you want to go wash dishes instead. Just remember that you can break down, especially a launch, you can break it down as minuscule as possible. So just break it down even more, tackling each bit of it separately. So it's one way to go about doing it, is just breaking it apart. So making each task its own individual project. So you're not looking at the giant mountain, you're just looking at one of the rocks, and you're working on this rock. Don't look at the mountain, just figure out the rock, and then go to the next rock and the next rock. But between them, celebrate yourself. Maybe take some rest, maybe treat yourself with something. It could be like a 1-minute dance session. It could be your favorite cup of tea, whatever you'd like. But acknowledge that you're like, okay, this was hard, but I started it because of breaking it down in baby steps. So another way you can work with / without procrastination is forget about it. Get it out of your brain. There's no reason to force the issue unless you're on a deadline, which is a completely different topic. Well, actually, no, it's not a completely different topic. I'll talk about that in a second. But if you can, say if it's due like 3 weeks from now, why are you forcing the issue now? Can you just walk away? Can you go wash those dishes? Maybe you can procrastinate by doing something else if you want. But if you've been dragging your feet on something for a very long time, I'm going to kind of reference my first video on this channel, like restarting my YouTube channel. I just let it go. And then I created this whole new channel. So sometimes it's your intuition telling you that it's just not going to go. It's just not it. Usually your intuition is right. Now, again, if this is a client project that you have to do, unfortunately, you're going to have to do the other steps I mentioned and not forget it. But you can temporarily forget it and go do something else. Like I said, if it's not due that day, and it's not going to be your best work, your intuition's probably right, walk away from it. The other one would be is if you have access to, there's 2 ways of this next one, which is a support or support team. One, if you are like me, who's an obliger, and for Gretchen Rubin's 4 Tendency quiz, I'm an obliger. My support comes in of me telling somebody I need to do it. Because if I tell someone I need to do it, most likely I'm going to do it. Because that gives me enough motivation, external accountability to do it. Or maybe if I don't know how to do something, then I can bring them into my more knowledge need of it. I'm like, hey, maybe I'm talking to like a bookkeeper friend because I need to write up. I don't know why I say I write blogs. I don't really write blogs for clients much, but here's just an example. Say I'm writing a blog for a client about some sort of bookkeeping stuff. Maybe I can pick her brain about it if she's okay with it. Or if you have a team, then, especially if you have subcontractors, I'd probably give this to a subcontractor then, saying, hey, I can't write this blog post. Here's what I need. Here's a brief. Can you do it? Even if they don't do it perfectly, they'll at least get it started for you. If they do it perfectly, even better. But if they can at least get it started for you with the initial groundwork, outline, whatnot, that's even better. But if you're also worried about maybe, I know I can write the blog post, I just can't write it because I know it's not going to be SEO optimized, it's not going to have this, not going to have that. Again, see if somebody else on your team that you maybe employ already can do that part. So you can write the blog post, you can write the actual content, give it to them to finish it off. So be honest with yourself, essentially, and ask for help. Ask for help either from your peers, ask for help from your team, if you can. And if this continuously happens and you're a solopreneur, it might be a good time to either reevaluate your clients or your client work, especially say in this scenario you keep avoiding writing blogs. Maybe writing blogs shouldn't be a service you give anymore, and that's okay. But the other thing is, it might be a good time to start hiring somebody to help you. So those are my tips around procrastination and how to work through it. Now, as I kind of mentioned already, for if you can't really forget, something that's a client assigned task, if really be honest with yourself. If something keeps coming on your plate that you're consistently avoiding, consistently procrastinating on everything, sit down, maybe around the time that you're procrastinating, sit down and try to figure out why this keeps happening. Is it this client? Is it this task? Or is it something else? Figure out which one it is. Maybe even make yourself a decision tree if you'd like. Or if you guys want me to make one for you, just comment below. I can probably whip one up. It will help you decide if you are going to move forward with that client, move forward with that client task, or even hire somebody else to take it over. Now, when it comes to more personal stuff, that can get a little bit more tricky. However, there are some ways that are very similar to business to figure it out. Again, we'll still follow the, taking your baby steps, jumping right in, taking it off your table, or even getting help. So, for example, I have a chronic illness that causes issues with me moving around. I do not do well with cleaning bathtubs, for example. So I pretty much don't care about it. Forget it, Or if I decide to clean it, I'll do it in steps. Maybe that means I get that, those scrubbers that are really long, and I only do like 5 minutes at a time over the week. Yes, I know that seems really annoying to do, but to deep clean it, I can deep clean maybe the top portion, then the bottom portion, and then the fixtures, all separately. I don't have to hurt myself to do it all in one go. Or I could ask my partner to do it, or we can hire a housekeeper. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to do it. And there's other parts, in, say, your personal life that you can apply any of these steps to and see if that works. And again, you can always go back to, why are you procrastinating? If you can figure that out, that will help you figure out what steps to take to avoid procrastinating again on it. Because when you procrastinate on something, it kind of still, especially depending if you're like this, you may be like this, but if you procrastinate on something, it's still holding space in your head. It's still there, and it's probably holding you back somewhere else. Maybe if you're procrastinating on a client work, that means that you normally send them an invoice regardless, because maybe you charge for the month, ahead. But you feel like you can't send them the invoice because you haven't worked on this, even though it's not due yet, but it's stuck in your head. So the main goal of these tips is to get what's stuck in your head out and make a decision on what to do with it. Whether you consciously decide to put it on a shelf in your brain, or you get it out completely by doing it, getting somebody else to do it, or saying you're not going to do it, and that's it. So those are my tips on procrastination. If you need any more, or you have any questions, or you have specific scenarios, you can either comment below or find me over on Instagram. Feel free to send me a voice note. I love talking to people on Instagram. It's kind of nice to just kind of chit chat back and forth. And I'd be happy to help give any thoughts or, tips around your specific situation. But yeah, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you again later.